I arrived with my daughter to meet her fiancé and his parents. The door opened, and the first thing I heard was a joke about me being a poor father-in-law. The groom laughed and said he hoped I would wear a different suit to the wedding, because this one looked like it came from the trash. They did not know who I was. I kept my voice calm. My answer was simple: you are fired. But that was only the beginning. I fed the parking meter with 4 quarters and checked my old Timex. I bought it at a church sale years ago for a few dollars. It still keeps better time than most people I have met. The doorman at the young building gave me a look, like I did not belong there. I nodded anyway and went to the elevator. 23rd floor. My daughter had texted the apartment number twice, just in case. The outfit I wore was plain on purpose. A gray sweater, old khakis, worn shoes. I call it the invisibility test. Wear something simple and you see who treats you like a human and who treats you like furniture. My daughter opened the door before I knocked. Her smile was tight. She said hello and invited me in, saying everyone was excited to meet me. Then her future mother-in-law appeared behind her, blonde hair fixed in place, jewelry shining. Her eyes scanned me from shoes to sweater in seconds. She called out to her husband and son, announcing that my daughter's father had arrived. A loud laugh came from inside. The groom stepped forward, arms crossed, smiling like he owned the space. He said this must be me, adding that the photos looked different. An older man followed him, silver-haired and uneasy, starting to speak before being cut off. I stepped inside onto white marble floors and expensive art that meant nothing to me. The groom kept smiling and commented again about my clothes, hoping I had something better for the wedding. I replied calmly, asking where they all worked. That question changed the room. The mother straightened with pride and named their company. She explained their roles one by one. Director, supervisor, manager. I nodded slowly. I knew the company well. The groom looked confused when I mentioned the firm that placed them there. Then I told them clearly that all 3 of them were fired, effective Monday. A wine glass slipped and spilled red across the white floor that my daughter rushed in, shocked, saying this could not be real and must be illegal. The mother raised her voice, talking about contracts. I explained calmly that the state allows it will work, and my firm has final approval. The groom stepped closer, angry, accusing me of using power because of an insult. I turned toward the door and said he was right. I was firing them because I could. My daughter grabbed my arm. I looked at her hand, then at her face. She let go as the elevator arrived, asterisk once, twice, 3 times. Behind me, voices tangled. The groom shouted about lawyers. His mother cried. His father kept repeating that this could not be happening. The elevator arrived and I stepped in. As the doors closed, my daughter's face appeared. She said they did not mean it. The door is shut. In the lobby, the doorman looked at me differently. I walked to my old car and unlocked it. My hands shook as the engine started. My phone buzzed, but I ignored it. In the mirror, I saw my daughter running out, waving her arms. I pulled away. The Timex showed to 47 in the afternoon. By Monday morning, 3 people would learn what it feels like to be discarded. At 8:15 Monday, Marcus Webb appeared on my screen. He was the HR director. I had placed him there myself. He said he had the paperwork, but firing all 3 together would raise questions. I shifted the phone to my other hand. My joints were stiff from stress. I told him to check the performance reviews. He said they were adequate. Not great, but acceptable. I reminded him about it will work. He paused, then asked if this was personal. I asked if that was a problem. He sighed and said no. My agency mattered too much to risk. We ended the call. I closed the laptop harder than needed. The termination emails went out later that morning. I did not watch them send. I signed the forms and went for coffee. It was cold. I had been working since early morning. At 2:03, my phone rang. It was my daughter. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again and again. On the 5th call, I heard a car outside, then footsteps. The door opened. She still had her old key. She stood there crying, hair a mess, face streaked. She kept asking how I could do this. She said I fired all of them. The groom had called her. The wedding was only months away. I told her to sit down. She refused. She said I was ruining her life over a bad joke. I went to the kitchen and put water on for tea. The kettle filled the room with sound. I told her it was not a joke. She said they were nervous and people say foolish things. I opened my laptop and said to watch. The video was ready. I had visited the building the day before and paid the concierge for access. The camera showed the door opening. My daughter appeared, smiling. Then his mother. Then the words about a poor father-in-law. My daughter covered her mouth. The video continued. The laugh. The comment about trash. The calm insult wrapped in polite words. She watched it once. Then again. She stopped it on his face. The kettle whistled. I poured the water and waited. After a long silence, she whispered that she did not know it was that bad. You were in the kitchen getting drinks, she said. He used that word 3 times. Once at the door, once inside, and once when you came back. I thought you were overreacting. I slid the tea toward her. She did not touch it. I asked if I looked like I was overreacting. She went quiet, then slowly sat down. She asked what she was supposed to do now. I told her that was her decision. My phone buzzed again and again. I left it on the counter. When I came back, she was watching the video again, stopping it, replaying his mouth forming the word. She said quietly that they would lose the apartment without income, that she mentioned the wedding, the guests, the plans. I drank my tea even though it was too hot. I said she could postpone or cancel that too. She closed the laptop and stared at it. She said her mother would have handled it better. I said her mother would have caused real trouble. Almost a smile crossed her face. She said not to mention her mother. I said she brought it up. My phone lit up again. Unknown number. The message warned me this was not over. I set the phone down next to an old watch on my shelf. It still keeps perfect time. Some things hide their value well. The messages kept coming. She asked if I was going to check them. I said no. She walked to the door, stopped, tried to speak, then said she needed time. I nodded. I watched her from the window. Her car sat outside, engine running. The payments on it drained her paycheck every month. She did not drive away right away. Later, my laptop chimed. A social post from him. Accusations, anger, calls for people to turn on me. Dozens had already shared it. I read it all without reacting. Then my other daughter called from across the world. She said I would have done the same thing. She said our mother would have been proud. I told her not to mention her. Too late. Outside, the car finally pulled away. I watched until the lights disappeared. The old watch ticked on my shelf. My phone buzzed again. I did not read it. I wondered how long it would take for her to understand what I already knew. Some things do not belong near your family. The rain began the next morning as I sat across from a man who always orders expensive coffee. When he has bad news, he said the firings were done, legal, clean, defensible. Burke spread his napkin like we were sharing a calm breakfast. He asked why I was there. I told him firing them was not enough. He stopped tapping his pen. He said he had known me a long time and this was not like me. I told him they had humiliated me in front of my daughter. He said he read the transcript she sent. He agreed it was ugly, but said that did not mean I needed to go further. I said I was not asking permission. I needed a private investigator. He sighed and named Petra Moss, former federal white-collar investigator. Expensive, careful, quiet. He made the call. That afternoon, I sat across from her in her office. Whiteboards, photos, connections everywhere. Everything made sense, which was unsettling. She slid a folder to me and began listing details. Cars with late payments. Credit cards pushed to the limit. A careful image hiding real strain. One steady habit at a local casino. Small amounts, always the same. Not luck, need. I left with the folder and too many numbers in my head. At home, I spread the files across my desk, one stack for each of them. My left hand ached from stress, so I worked with the right. That evening, my other daughter called from far away. She joked about my dark turn. I said I was not the problem. She said I went exactly as far as I always do. Too far, but honestly. She mentioned her mother. I told her not to. Too late. After the call, I sat still. The video played again. That word echoed. My phone buzzed. Petra messaged that job applications were already out. Rejections were coming fast. A few wanted references. They listed their old manager. A man who could only confirm dates, but tone still mattered. Petra asked how I would handle it. I did not answer. By late night, I poured drinks I normally avoid. The day had been long. The words kept circling. I opened my email, pulled up the list of companies, and started writing careful messages, polite, vague, enough. I sent one. Then another. The typing grew faster. The room stayed quiet as the messages went out. I wrote without stopping, clear and focused. By the sixth message, only minutes had passed, and I felt calm for the first time since Saturday. I closed the laptop and went to bed. Wednesday morning before 7, my phone buzzed. An email. The subject mentioned concerns in ethics. My stomach dropped as I opened it and saw my words being shared, questioned, passed around. Names kept appearing on the thread. More people added. Screenshots taken. My phone rang. Burke, far too early. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the tired face staring back. He asked if I had sent warning emails and if I signed them with my title. I stood in my kitchen as coffee spilled across the counter. He told me it was spreading online. Fast. By mid-morning, reactions and comments were climbing. Some doubted recruiters. Some questioned my judgment. Clients called with polite concern. That kind of concern is never polite. At 11, a crisis consultant arrived. She took my phone away and told me to stop looking. She counted the reactions and said I made a traceable mistake. The worst kind. She told me to issue a vague apology and stop all direct action. No emails, no calls. Reputations move through quiet conversations, not messages. I knew she was right. I had just forgotten. That afternoon, Petra called with new information. A large loan. A sister convinced to sign. Missed payments. No emergency. Just spending. The bank had already contacted the sister. By evening, a process serve arrived. A lawsuit. Wrongful termination and defamation. I signed calmly. Later, Burke confirmed the case. Termination was clean. The online issue made things messy. I said I would not settle. He warned me about the cost. I looked at the old watch on my desk. It kept perfect time. Then my phone buzzed. A message from her. The first since Monday. She mentioned the online post. Dad. What are you doing? I typed an answer, erased it, typed again, erased that too. Another message arrived from a number I did not recognize. It was her sister. She said she thought we should talk about Wilma. I stared at the screen while the old watch kept ticking. I replied with a time and place the next morning. She answered right away and said she would bring proof. Her kitchen smelled like coffee and resolve. She slid a thick folder across the table. Statements, highlights, dates, a large loan, a story about illness that was not true. Her mother had passed years earlier. No bills, no excuse. She paid every installment herself to protect her home. Wilma sent a small amount once, like a favor, not repayment. She laughed without humor and told me not to feel sorry. She wanted results. I left with the folder and made calls from my car. Quiet ones, careful ones, always vague, always professional. Just enough context to let people draw their own conclusions. Over the next days, applications went out. Rejections came back. One interview remained. I knew about it. I also knew the person running it. I chose a proper suit that morning. Not flashy, just clear. The coffee shop was busy but calm. I arrived early and sat with the executive I had placed years ago. We spoke about candidates. I mentioned recent departures and concerns without details. He nodded and checked his phone. Then the door opened. The groom walked in. He saw me and froze. Coffee spilled onto his papers. I looked at him briefly, then away. He approached, tense, asking why I was there. The executive stood and canceled politely. He left quickly. I stayed, finished my coffee, and walked out without looking back. In the garage, my phone buzzed. The interview was canceled. I started my car and checked the report. Numbers did not add up. Another message came through. They were realizing what was happening. I set the phone down and drove off, letting the quiet carry me forward. The salesman asked if I wanted to finance the car. Said it would help my credit. I told him I did not care about credit. I cared about owning things outright. That was the difference. They bought status. I bought freedom. My phone buzzed again. A collections message meant for Wilma. I deleted it. Then another message appeared. Velma to Dit, asking for space. His reply came fast. He said they needed to talk about her father's money. I sat there staring at that line. Not about her. Not about the relationship. Just money. Petra's folder was on the seat beside me. Inside were messages I had already read. Messages that made my stomach turn. I texted Velma and asked her to come by the next day. No reply. The rain started as I drove home. The city blurred past. They thought they were fighting one man. They were fighting decades of trust and quiet influence. They just did not know it yet. By Friday, the collapse was visible. Jewelry laid out on a table. Numbers that would not add up. A buyer offering less than half of what was paid. Professional sympathy. No flexibility. Mail piled up. Bank letters. Final notices. Panic spread room by room. In another apartment, Dit paced back and forth, leaving message after message, apologies, promises, declarations of love. Desperation finds strange voices. Petra brought another folder. Messages between Dit and a friend. Cold words, calculations, calling my daughter an investment. I read it twice and closed the folder without speaking. Another message came through. Wilma asking Dit how much he needed. He said 25,000 would fix things for now. I called Velma. She answered late. I asked when she was meeting him. She hesitated, then told me. I asked her to come to my house after. She hung up. Petra handled the rest. Photos arrived first. Them sitting together. His hand reaching. Hers pulling back, but not fully. Then the audio. Calm voices. Requests for money. Promises of repayment. Blame shifted toward me. Hope dangled like bait. That evening, Velma came to my door, angry, tired. She accused me of ruining everything. I asked her to sit. She refused. She said he was desperate, losing everything. She said I turned her life into chaos. I told her I did not start this. She said it was all over one comment. I told her it was not about the words. It was about who they were when they thought I was nothing, when they believed I did not matter. I opened my laptop and turned it toward her. The messages filled the screen. I told her to read them before giving him any money. She asked what they were. I said they were texts between him and a friend, sent months before the proposal. She leaned closer and started reading. Her voice dropped as she read each line. Comments about my work, my worth, her future value. Calling her a long-term investment. Dates lined up. Proposal followed weeks later. Her hand covered her mouth. She read the line about the ring and expected return. I poured a drink out of habit, then realized there was no audience. She said she was not sorry. She said I wanted her to see this. I told her I wanted her to know the truth. She said the truth was that I ruined her chance at happiness. She grabbed her purse and moved for the door. She stopped, turned back. I said there was more. She read again, slower this time. The same words. The same calculation. She set the laptop down and said she needed time. Then she left quietly. I sat alone. Rain tapped the windows. A message came from her sister asking what I had done. I typed answers and erased them. Finally, I sent that I did not know. Then another message arrived from my daughter. She asked for copies of the texts. Then asked if there was anything else. That was the moment things changed. She was not defending him anymore. She wanted facts. I asked her to come back in the morning. I told Petra to send everything. She arrived early with coffee. We spread the files across my desk. She asked if there was more. I said yes. I showed her the photo. Another woman. Same look, same pose. Another engagement years earlier. Broken shortly after the woman's inheritance changed. My daughter traced the face in the picture without speaking. Petra called us to her office. Whiteboards covered in timelines, names, patterns, a clear history, dating, engagement, exit when money disappeared. My daughter listened without interrupting. She whispered the date he ended the last engagement. 3 weeks after the inheritance changed. Later that day, his mother went to the police. Dressed sharp, calm voice, claimed harassment, claimed her family was being destroyed. The report came through quickly. She said I was turning people against them, that I had ruined their lives. The detective asked if there were any physical threats. She said no. He asked if I had contacted them directly since the termination. She hesitated, then said no, but claimed I was behind everything. She handed over a long written complaint, detailed, planned. Santos later told me he had seen real cases with less effort put in. He called me that afternoon. Calm voice, professional. He said she accused me of harassment. I explained the termination was legal and documented. He asked if I had contact since then. I mentioned a brief, accidental meeting in a coffee shop. Chicago overlaps sometimes. He asked about my work, my influence, how references function. I gave him full documentation. By early evening, he closed the case. No illegal activity. Civil issue at best. Warning issued to both sides to stay distant. At the same time, Petra set up the call. My daughter sat at my desk as another woman appeared on screen from Cincinnati. She explained how she met him at a conference, said he was charming and focused on her work, not her family. He proposed after 6 months. She thought it meant commitment. Then her voice softened. She spoke about a fight with her father and a threatened inheritance change. She told him everything. 3 weeks later, he ended the engagement. She learned the truth later through messages he sent to a friend. Words about reduced value and leaving early. When she saw my daughter's ring photo, recognition hit her immediately. After the call ended, my daughter removed her ring and placed it on my desk without speaking. She asked how many others there were. Petra was still digging, but the pattern suggested more than one. She stood, said she needed time, and left. I sat with the ring in front of me, chosen carefully, expensive enough to impress, calculated. I thought about her face during the call and what had been taken from her. A message came from her sister asking how many more. I said I did not know. She asked if I was okay. I did not answer. Instead, I opened Petra's full file. 83 pages. A spreadsheet of names, dates, engagements, endings, each tied to family money changing. 5 confirmed cases. My hands shook as I read the last row. Her name. Another message from Petra said she found more. Multiple things. Then my phone rang. My daughter wanted a meeting. Face to face. She was not asking permission. She wanted to confront him herself. To see him try to deny it. She said he tried to take her future. Now it was her turn. The file updated. Years of pattern. Confirmed victims. Possible others. I had one. But it felt like something else had been lost too. I did not sleep that night. By Sunday morning, she was back at my table. We were reviewing the file when my phone rang. Marcus Webb, on a Sunday. That never meant anything good. Petra called and said I needed to see something. A local outlet was running a story that afternoon. She said it framed the Youngs as victims. I asked what kind of interview it was. She said the sympathetic kind. The writer was Preston Keene. He treated lifestyle stories like major investigations. His source was the Young family themselves. I told Petra to let it run. I had records, messages, and multiple women willing to speak. Let them talk first. Then I would respond. The article went live at 2. Velma read it out loud while I paced. It painted Wilma as a devoted professional whose life was ruined by one remark. Then came his quote, tearful, claiming love, claiming rejection over clothes and money. I admitted he performed it well. My phone started buzzing. Clients checking in. Corporate concern. I reassured them I was still useful. By 4, we were in an emergency meeting. Diana said the damage was real. Burke asked about legal action. I said we needed a response, not a lawsuit. Velma set down her coffee and said to release everything. All of it, the footage, the messages, the pattern. Diana warned it would expose Velma's private life. Velma said her life was already public and false. At least the truth would be real. We planned fast. 2 hours, statement, files, video, messages, witness accounts. I typed while Velma reviewed every line. She added her own words, calm, clear, direct. She approved Heather's statement, gave permission to share it. My cursor hovered over publish. Velma reached over and clicked it for me. Within minutes, comments poured in. The tone shifted quickly, support, validation, anger aimed elsewhere. The response spread faster than anything I had ever posted. By evening, the original article added an editor's note. Questions appeared under it. Credibility slipping. Messages came in meant for Wilma, sent by mistake. People realizing who they had defended. Later, an unknown caller left a message. The condo board was watching the situation. That was when I knew the damage had landed. Near 11, my doorbell rang again and again. He stood there unsteady, suit wrinkled, eyes tired. He said I ruined his life. I said he did that himself. He said it was about one comment. I said it was about his choices. He said the others were different. He said Velma was real. I told him she was just another line to him, another calculation. He said he loved her. I said he loved what he thought she was worth. The moment hung in the summer heat, the park slowly emptying around me. Barton's words echoed long after he disappeared. Character, not revenge. I let them settle. Dew was gone, Wilma still trapped in her darkness, but the future victims had protection. The truth had been told. Consequences delivered not by malice, but by clarity and exposure. My phone buzzed again. Cassandra Walsh. The 5 of them were coordinating with an attorney, planning a civil suit against DeWitt for fraud. She asked if I would testify. I typed yes. Another buzz. Nina Pasnick, thanking me for exposing him. No words came. None were needed. I drove slowly through Chicago, the streets reflecting orange and gold from the lowering sun. At a red light, I saw a man holding cardboard, asking for anything. I rolled down the window, handed him a 20. "Thank you, sir," he said. "Bless you," I nodded, letting the gesture echo what had guided me all along, seeing value where others had overlooked it. Tonight, it wasn't watches or estates or LinkedIn posts. It was truth, protection, justice, and the quiet knowledge that, for once, someone had finally been stopped before doing more harm. The city hummed around me. I exhaled. The war was over. The lessons remained. The cost had been high, but the story of accountability, of exposing greed, calculation, and cruelty was now theirs to carry, and mine to tell. I started the engine, the Tesla humming softly beneath me. I drove home, the streetlights glinting off the wet asphalt, letting the weight of it all settle. For the first time in a week, I felt the quiet satisfaction of closure. I closed the door. The light changed. In the rearview mirror, I saw a man who looked older than his years. Revenge does that. It takes more than it gives. At home, I made coffee. I took Velma's engagement ring from my desk drawer and set it on the counter. Evidence, memory, symbol. I was not sure which one mattered most. The doorbell rang at 6:42. Velma stood there, tired, worried, older than 29. "Dad," she said, "we need to talk about what happens next." 3 months later, I cooked dinner. Real effort this time. Cloth napkins, proper plates, vegetables done right. Willow was home from Kenya for the first time in 18 months. Velma was coming too. Both daughters at my table. First time since the engagement ended. The mood was warm but careful, like everyone was stepping around something sharp. "This chicken is actually good, Dad. When did you learn to cook?" "When you both moved out and I got tired of takeout." Velma smiled. "He even took classes. Community center." I shrugged. The instructor was 65 and very married. We talked about safe things. Willa's work. Velma's boutique job. My agency running fine. No one mentioned it or the Youngs until dessert. Then Willa put down her fork. "Okay, are we going to talk about the obvious thing or not?" My hands shook as I carried dishes to the sink. Stress made the arthritis worse. Willa noticed but stayed quiet. "What do you want me to say?" "I want to know if it was worth it." Barton Young asked me that too. "What did you tell him?" "That I was tired." Velma spoke softly. "I never thanked you for stopping me from marrying him. You saved me." I shook my head. "You do not need to thank me." "Yes, I do. He saw me as an investment. You protected me. At what cost?" She frowned. "You have not dated. You barely talk about your personal life. I ruined your faith in people." "No, he did. You just showed me the truth." "Sometimes the truth still hurts," I said. She nodded. "But I would rather know." After dinner, I showed Willa my watch collection. I pointed to a vintage Omega, bought it for $200, worth 15 times that, from Dit's forced sale. The irony felt neat to me. His loss, my gain. Willa set it down carefully. "This is sad, Dad. It is justice." "No, It is a reminder you spent months tearing people apart. They did that themselves. Did they? Or did you help? The silence answered for me. I said what I had not said out loud before. I became someone I did not like. Obsessed, controlling. I paid to dig into lives. I made private things public. I could have warned Velma quietly. I chose destruction instead. They insulted you, Willa said. And I turned their lives into a spectacle. Which was worse? I did not have an answer. The doorbell rang at 8:15. A registered letter. Signature required. I opened it at the table. Both daughters watching. One line. Typed. You won this round, old man. But the game is not over. No name. No return address. I folded the paper slowly. This time, no satisfaction followed. Just the quiet weight of knowing that some costs do not show up until later. Say next when you want me to continue. Nevada. Velma reached for the letter. He's threatening you. We need to call the police. I took it back, folded it carefully, and tucked it into a drawer. No. It's over. I'm done. Just like that? You're letting it go. What's the alternative? Chase him to Nevada. Spend the rest of my life making sure he never succeeds at anything. Some people would. I'm not some people. Not anymore. I was, for a while. But now I choose not to be. We moved to the back porch. 3 coffee cups catching the last autumn sunlight. Silence stretched for several minutes, until Willa broke it. You know what's weird? 6 months ago, we were planning a wedding. Now we're just. Here is better than there, Velma said. I nodded, silent. The watch on my wrist was my vintage Timex, not the Omega. Some treasures are about sentiment, not value. My phone buzzed. Marcus Webb. Client meeting Monday, 9 a.m. They want you specifically. Business continues. Life continues. Are we okay, Dad? Velma's voice was small. You and me. We're different, but we're okay. Different how? You see me differently now as someone capable of calculated cruelty. That changes things. You're also the person who saved me from marrying the con artist. Both things are true. Willa swung her legs from the porch railing. So, what happens now? Now I go back to running my agency. You go back to Kenya. Velma runs her boutique. Life continues. And the Youngs? They work at a small firm in Evanston, live modestly, stay out of my life. That's enough. Wilma sent a 6-page handwritten apology 2 months ago. Genuinely remorseful, taking full responsibility. I read it once, filed it away, never responded. Not from cruelty. I just had nothing to say. Barton sends Christmas cards now from Rogers Park. I don't respond. But I don't throw them away either. They sit with Wilma's letter. Evidence of what? I'm not sure. And if Dit comes back, he won't. And if he does, I'll deal with it. But I'm not going to sit here waiting. That's no way to live. We stayed on that porch until the streetlights flicked on. Until mosquitoes drove us inside. Until Willa yawned and Velma checked her watch. Normal evening. Normal family. Except nothing's normal anymore. Everyone knows it. Nobody says it. The revenge is over. The echoes remain. That's the truth. Nobody tells you about justice. It doesn't heal the original wound, it just creates new scars. But scars fade eventually. Maybe some truths are better left unspoken. If you like this story, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To listen to the next story, click the box on the left.